to the GoTeez Sports Page, coming to you live from the Bluetick Tavern in Maryville at 92.5 FM and 1180 AM. Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Bringing you the best in Blount County sports since 1978. Featuring the Greenfield Gunner, Mike Edwards, former Maryville Scott, Donnie Moore, and from the Daily Times, Marcus Fitzsimmons.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner. I'm here at the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville, along with Blount County Sports Hall of Famer Donnie Moore and longtime sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons. And this is the GoTeez Sports Page. Tennessee travels to Starkville, Mississippi to take on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, and we're going to the whistle blows. And now let's set today's lineup card. Donnie Moore will report on the latest high school football scores from last night, and we'll follow up with some national sports stories. Marcus Fitzsimmons will be on board to update us on what's happening in local high school sports. Parks and Rec midget, Pee-wee football, and William Blount football will be in the lineup. I'll talk some UT football and discuss the latest Tennessee and SEC sports news, and our panel will look at today's top college football games and review the top 25. The Let Her Rip segment is set to go, so let's break the huddle and dive right in. Good morning, Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons, and welcome back to another week of the GoTeez Sports Page.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Now, good morning.
There you go.
How are you today?
Good.
Good.
I'm better than Brian Johnson's doing this morning after traveling all the way over there to old Virginia.
That's right.
To see his Florida State Seminoles last night get beat 46-38 in double overtime. And Marcus Fitzsimmons, that was just a little bit of a shocker, even though Old Virginia was, I think, 3-1 going into last night's game, but Florida State ranked number 8. You know, there's going to be a little bit of shuffling there in the polls with them next week. Huh?
Well, Cavaliers put it to them.
I doubt there were many people doing more than prop bets on that game, and you have to feel for the ACC just maybe this much that you have a top 10.
Very slightly.
You have a top 10 team, and you're making them play on Friday night.
Wow.
You've got to feel like you might have fallen just a little bit.
Might have been slighted just a touch.
That's how your scheduling is going to work, that you're going to do the Friday night game.
Yeah.
Well, they stormed the field last night.
They
Virginia
did.
stormed the field, and it was quite a sight there. It's been a while since Virginia has had a win like that. I think they've only had 4, wins in the top against top 10 teams. So
do Cavaliers storm the field, or do they charge the field?
I don't know which one it was. It looked like a stampede to me.
I guess they must ride on the field.
Yeah.
They borrow Florida State's horse and ride.
The horse was just roaming around out there. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Players and coaches were having a hard time getting off the field. You know, Norville is that the coach there at Florida State. He was trying to find the other coach. He couldn't find anybody.
Wow.
You know, they just that's one thing about that storming. You know, you leave yourself there to where somebody might get hurt, or you got to get players off the field.
Sure.
But last night there wasn't. That was almost unavoidable to get that
Most
done.
impossible.
Hey, we got a great slate of college football games today.
We do.
Really good slate of games. We're going to talk about that later.
Well, some people are calling it the best weekend we're going to have this year, but I'm not sold on that. But
I'm not convinced of that yet.
I think it's the second time I've heard it in 5 games.
Yeah, there's some good ones. Well, I got a letter rip this morning.
Let's do it.
I'm a little hate to do it, but I'm a little on Bruce Pearl this morning.
Oh, here it comes.
I'm a little on Bruce. Hey, this past week, Bruce Pearl announced that he was calling it quits as basketball coach of the Auburn Tigers just 42 days before the start of the 2025-26 season. I've been a part of college basketball for almost 50 years, and the truth is, it's time. I told myself when I got to the point where I could not give it my all, or wasn't necessarily 100%, or I couldn't be the relentless competitor that Auburn fans expected me, that it was going to be time to retire, Pearl remarked. Really, Coach? It just happened to be time a little over a month before the season starts? What about the players you recruited? What about the Auburn fans? What about the prospects for a great season? Where does all this leave them? Everybody else that gave you and your program 100%, where do they stand now? Why didn't you announce that you'd had enough at the conclusion of last season? I hope your stepping down at this unusual time was not a selfish decision on your part to see that your son steps into the job. You know, too late for players to transfer even though they have 30 days to do so. Too late for the school to hire a big-name coach. Too late for fans to cash in their season tickets. Thanks, Dad. What do y'all think? Huh? I mean, you know, we're 40 days away from the start of the season, and he steps down.
Do you just suddenly decide that it's time?
Or unless there's something else to this. I mean, they haven't announced that.
We don't know
We don't know if there's a health issue here or whatever. Doesn't appear to be any. But I just felt like it was really unusual that he did step down at this particular time. Well, that leaves Auburn in an awful spot. I mean, they can't go out and get somebody right now, and they end up giving him a 5-year deal. I'll give Coach Pearl this. I think he's a great basketball coach.
Oh,
he's proven that. He's a great promoter. He gets fans up. He's a great recruiter, and I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that with him. But I just think this was kind of a fishy deal in my part, or on his part, that he just waited right to the start of the season to announce this, and Auburn really had no other choice but to move his son up and give him a 5-year deal. I will also say that these situations don't always work out very well. You know, Bob Knight worked a deal down at Tennessee Tech with Pat Knight, and it didn't last very long down there. It didn't go well. And then Ray Meyer, remember Ray Meyer, the great coach up at DePaul?
Yeah.
For years and years and years. His son Joey, who was his assistant, took over for him, and that program has never recovered up there.
Never been the same, has it?
It's never been the same up there. So I'm just saying, you know, you may take the money and run, but and his son has no major college. Crap, he doesn't even have a high school. He doesn't even have high school coaching experience. He's never been a major college basketball coach. So, you know, the pressure's on him down there.
It is, and the program is going to suffer.
And listen, he's inherited a really good basketball team that they've got projected to be in the top. Maybe a number 4 pick as far as the seedings in the NCAA tournament. So we'll just see how that plays out. Marcus, you've been awful quiet, so I'll just let you respond.
Well, the timing tells you that there is something going on. One way or another, something was going on, because this is not the time for that kind of announcement,
Absolutely.
All situations being normal. So there is something that has transpired, or it is a deliberate move to force Auburn's hand. But if that was the case, I don't think we'd be seeing Bruce getting a job with the athletic department. So it says that there's something going on somewhere, that this had to happen, and it had to happen now, which to me says there's another shoe to drop for Auburn coming.
Well, here's the other deal. They've hired Coach Pearl at the university for some kind of promotion.
He's going to be an ambassador for Auburn.
He's going to go out and shake people's hands and so forth and so on. Well, he's there.
He's good at that. That's what he does best.
You're right.
Well, you know, he's going to be right there, and this is even going to put Auburn in a really tougher situation if things don't work out with his son on what to do with him on down the road. I know I'm talking on down the road, but I'm just going by past experiences in these deals that they just don't seem to work out very well. And those players, you know, they don't have any, you know, it's too late for them to go somewhere. I mean, most teams have already spent their money and
well, you can't leave in. I mean, you could theoretically leave
30
in the
days.
middle
I think
of the
they have
semester.
30 days, but
they do.
It goes back to that thing. They're still technically student athletes. You can't just leave in the middle of the semester without wasting that whole semester.
We'll see about that.
It's very hard to enroll in the middle of a semester
It
anywhere.
is.
So I think they're kind of stuck in. I think they would have to wait out the fall and transfer during the winter break if they were wanting to do that.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
They might not. I mean, they might leave the team and finish the semester as just a student, whatever, or call it quits, but they couldn't enroll somewhere else until January.
I don't think it was a really good week for Auburn down there. You know, they had the controversial call in their football game out there at Oklahoma where
they did.
the guy was walking off the field or so, you know, like he was going to the sidelines, and all of a sudden he sprints down there, catches a pass, and nobody around him for a touchdown.
Right.
You know, which was an illegal play, I guess.
They said it. Well, all the commentary I heard said that it was illegal.
I think it used to be legal, but
the league letter said that the call was missed.
Yeah,
and
right.
I will say that's the first time I've seen the Southeastern Conference issue that kind of statement on the day of the incident. Usually it's on Sunday. I've never seen them issue one on Saturday night saying that the crew was wrong.
Yeah. Well, the other big news involving Tennessee was the announcement last week of the SEC schedules in football for the next few years, and also the fact that there are 3 traditional games starting next year for 4 years. These are set up, I think, for 4 years. Got Alabama, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt. Thank you very much on the 3 traditional games. The rest of the schedule may not be like that, but it's going to be pretty tough from the other hall. But when you look at what Tennessee got in their 3 traditional games, and you look at what everybody else got, Donnie Moore, I'll drink to that.
Oh yeah, me too. That's a that's a pretty good thing.
I was kind of hoping something like I'd see Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, but that's just me from a selfish standpoint. But Kentucky and Vanderbilt, they couldn't have drawn it up any better, could they?
Well, I'm sure that was the top of Tennessee's wish list right there.
Yeah. Well, they were going to try to work it out to where.
And I'm sure there's an asterisk after it that says, "Can we put them the last 2 games of the year?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've got Chris here from Parks and Rec. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. What do you think about the scheduling?
I think Tennessee got a pretty favorable draw. I looked at their other schedule. It's tough. I mean, they've got. I looked. They alternate Oklahoma and Texas each of the next 4 years. So they have. I think they have Florida on a couple of times and Georgia. So I mean, when you go to a 9-game season in the gauntlet that is the SEC, I don't think there's many pushovers.
No.
And as you look at what's going on right now in the top 25, they're good representation from the SEC. So it's not an easy road, but the 3 that they took, Alabama's not what Alabama has always been, and Vanderbilt and Kentucky they're still fighting, but they're not what.
They're still Vanderbilt and Kentucky. Is that what you're really trying to say?
I was trying to be polite.
He's a nice guy. Well, everybody's gotten better because of the transfer portal.
I thought it was interesting that
changed everything.
They put Texas on there, and I figured that would be immediately because Arch Manning down here at Texas, bring him on in here next year, break him in here at Neyland Stadium, let Peyton and the whole family come back in here and have their honor them before the game, whatever you got to do, and then take a look at Arch Manning. But that one, I thought that was pretty interesting that they put that right in there next year. But home schedule next year: Alabama, Auburn, Kentucky, LSU, and Texas. Marcus, that's you think, well, we got some home games there, but that's a pretty tough haul right there at home, don't you think?
Well, yeah, it is, but there's no easy way around this one. I mean,
well, I think compared
when you look at the quality of the league, there are easier routes, and for permanent opponents, Tennessee got a good hand. But we've also seen the league giveth and the league taketh away. So if you get a good hand in your permanent opponents, chances are some of your rotations are going to get some of the better teams. That's just the way the league's played this first 2 years with the expansion.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't hit you over the head like you're Florida, and their schedule this year.
Yeah.
But they've shown that they can do that.
Well, there are 4 road games next year, Donnie, and if I'm looking at the home schedule versus the road schedule, I like the road schedule better. They got Arkansas, they got South Carolina, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt on the road. So I would take that over reversing the deal and having to go to Alabama, Auburn, LSU, and Kentucky next year.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it looks a little favorable.
Yeah, I would much prefer that. And they also got mentioned this. We're going to throw in Furman and Kennesaw State. Where's Kennesaw State at? I didn't know they played football.
Georgia,
right outside Marietta.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess. But they got 5 home games and 4 away next year. That'll probably be reversed in the year.
Is Kennesaw the one that shares the stadium with Berry College down there?
No, Kennesaw they were a fast track. They haven't had football for many years, and they wanted to be at the FC or the FBS level pretty quick. So they went from the ASUN to the Conference USA where they're located now, and they've done that pretty quickly.
Tennessee, let's talk about Tennessee's game today. Number 15, Tennessee at 3-1 and 0-1 in the SEC heads to Starkville, Mississippi to take on Mississippi State. Mississippi State is 4-0. That's maybe a little bit deceiving because one of those, three of those wins were probably very winnable, gimme type cupcake games, but they did beat Arizona State.
Yeah, that's a pretty good win.
That's a pretty good win right there, and they got them down there in Starkville. So, Marcus, I'll start with you. If you're looking at this game today, what's the storyline going in?
Well, Micah, I'm going to be Debbie Downer today. I think my storyline is, can the Vols avoid going 0-2 to start the year in the league?
Oh, man, that's a pretty big downer right there.
To me, this is a trap game of any size, because this is a team you handled last year pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe they're still in that cupcake category that they showed up in as last year, and I don't know that anybody believes that yet.
Yeah. Well, Donnie Moore, this is a game that, last week we talked about the hardest games they got left on the schedule.
We did.
This was at the bottom of the list of the harder games.
Yeah.
It felt like Vanderbilt would be a harder game than Mississippi State. Obviously, this is not a game you'd want to lose.
Oh, absolutely not.
That you'd want to fall into that category.
No, you don't. You don't want to lose to Mississippi State, because if you do, that could be a hinge for your whole season.
Yeah. Chris, I don't want to mention here how big a game this is for Mississippi State and their program down there. We saw them storming the field at Virginia, and you know how down Mississippi State has been the last year,
right.
last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
If they was to win that game today, I don't know. They may not have a stadium left down there.
They would tear it down. I mean, that would be a statement, definitely a statement win that they took out two teams that made it to the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, Arizona State, I don't know without their running back what they are, but they were still projected to do pretty well in their conference.
Sure.
So, yeah, if they were to somehow pull this one off at home, which is tough, the Cowbells will be going down in Starkville.
Down Stark Vegas.
I think we're all in agreement there. And Marcus has mentioned, he's a little bit concerned that the Vols could go 0-2. So let's say that happens, Donnie. Where would they go from there?
Bye week.
Down the tubes.
Bye week.
Bye week would be the bye week would look very, very good at that
Yeah,
point.
the only problem with that would give these people around here 2 weeks to really complain until they play again.
Oh, yeah. And chances of making the playoffs are going to be greatly diminished.
Yeah, and Chris, if you look at the fact that if they happen to drop this game, unfortunately today, coming off that bye week, they're right into the gut of their schedule.
The tough, the teeth of it.
Their tougher games are coming up right there, and they would have to regroup with that coming back. But how do you see them coming back from a defeat like this? It pretty well would knock them out of the playoffs. I mean, they could win out.
Right. You can still go to a bowl game, but the goal is to make it to the playoffs, and if you can't win your first two conference games, that diminishes your opportunity.
And
tremendously.
With 12 teams going, I think that's what it is now, 12 teams going to the playoffs, bowl games just don't mean a big deal, do they? I mean, it's not really a big thing like it was before they went to the 12-team playoff.
Well, the 12 teams that play in the playoffs are about the only ones that have their full squad, their full roster.
Exactly.
Everybody opts out,
That's
and then
true.
they start looking at the transfer portal. I wasn't treated here as well as I should be, and there's more NIL money waiting on me at another school that has supposedly not talked to me. So, yeah.
What they used to call that when the NFL went on strike and they used players
Scabs.
Those scabs are left to play the bowl games. That's an awful term, I guess. Call somebody a scab, but anyway.
Well, it was meant to be.
I guess.
But the thing that, Mike, you mentioned it, but we haven't really talked about it as far as the implication in this regard. But because of this playoff structure, which is adding 3 games for those top teams, you got to also consider that you're putting more wear and tear on your kids. But at the same time, if you're one of those programs that is retaining well and training well, you've added another month of practice and work that nobody else is getting.
That's it.
So that puts it down that if you're not in that top tier, you've got to have that bowl game, because we know spring practice isn't worth a whole lot anymore.
Yeah.
So your bowl game is basically your chance to test your new guys that you haven't tested yet that year.
That's a good point. Good point. Let's look at what Mississippi State needs to do today to win this football game. And Donnie Moore, I'll start with you.
All right.
What are they looking at? What do they got to do to win the game today?
Well, they have to keep the Vols offense off the field because
You mean just let them score?
Well, if that's what it takes. No, this quick strike offense is pretty efficient that Tennessee has. So, they've got to do something with their defense to keep them off the field.
Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, and the way Tennessee's offense can move, if they, they'll have to control the ground game.
Yeah.
Because Tennessee, you think about Tennessee's offense, and they've said it for years, it's not as air raid as what you think. I mean, there's 1,000-yard rushers every year at Tennessee, so they'll have to control the line of scrimmage. But also, like Donnie said, you got to keep Tennessee off the field. They want to control the clock. Everybody does against Tennessee. You want to just keep the ball out of their hands to where you may have an 8-yard or an 8-play drive that takes 9 minutes off the clock. They run the play clock down to full, take the full 40 and run it down to nothing and snap it.
Yeah.
Eliminate mistakes. That always,
And to go along with what both of you said right there, as far as controlling the clock, keep Tennessee's offense off the field, they need to do that early because Tennessee, in their game so far this season, they have had huge first quarters.
Yes.
Huge.
Yeah.
Even against Georgia, they had a huge first quarter and a huge start against them. So they got to keep them off the board the first quarter. Marcus, what's Mississippi State got to do today?
Well, I think the thing they've got to do is not get caught up with Tennessee, because Tennessee is going to score on you. That's pretty much a given. You're going into the way, if you're looking at it from their perspective. But what you've got to do is not fall into that trap of trying to keep up by coming out, throwing the ball time after time and trying to do that. You've got to stick with what you want to do and lean towards burning the clock a little bit. You've got to run it and do what we saw Georgia do in the second half, which was run it until you have to throw it. Because when you have to throw it, Tennessee's secondary is suspect. It's probably going to be there.
Has been all year.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up
but
right
if you
here.
go out there and just throw it, you're going to give them a chance.
Everybody says, well, you guys have said you got to control the clock, you got to run the ball, you got to keep Tennessee's offense off the field, and then you got a secondary back there that's silly putty so far this year, and you're like, man, I'm licking my chops. I'm going to throw the ball all over the place against these people because everybody is completing passes again. Chris Clark, does that change Mississippi State's thinking a little bit, the Volunteers secondary, or not?
Now, if that's not what they're good at, if they're not good at throwing, don't do something you're not accustomed to doing. So,
absolutely.
If I'm Mississippi State, I'm taking the ball to open the game. Whether, I'm gonna tell them I want the ball, and if Tennessee defers, we want the ball, and I'm gonna try to take, if you can waste away half the clock in the first quarter, keep it out of Tennessee, keep it away from Tennessee. That, the less amount of times they have the ball, the less chance they have to score, because Tennessee's going to score quick.
So what you're saying is the less chances Tennessee's gets the ball, they're going to shorten the game. When you shorten the game, that makes every possession important, which puts more pressure on the offense.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yeah, and if Tennessee's having to, if they're having to press to get some yardage or to extend a drive, you're on the road, which is a tough environment anywhere in the SEC.
Yeah.
So if you can shorten the game, take the air out of the ball to say,
If State decides to throw the ball some against that secondary, it's going to be tough because Tennessee's, I think they've had 56 sacks. I think I've read that right. 56 sacks so far this year. That's unbelievable, Marcus.
It is. I mean, the defensive line has gotten the depth, even though it's young in some places in that rotation, is proven to be one of its best assets.
Yeah.
The one thing, maybe you got it on your list, but you did say it. It's a road game, and we know what can happen to the Vols on the road. And it starts with the offensive line breaking down and the stupid penalties that it's cost the Tennessee games in the last 2 years. Nobody really has a good diagnosis for what happens, but I can't help but think that cowbells would not be a positive factor for the past problems. So I'm hoping with a almost brand new offensive line that whatever has been on the ongoing issue disappeared with them.
Yeah. They can't turn the ball over. Mississippi State can't turn the ball over, and they got to limit their penalties, and they need to create some turnovers. If they can pick off Aguilar, who's, even though he's had a great year, he has had a tendency to throw an interception here and there in a game here early in the season. So now let's look at Tennessee real quick. Donnie Moore, what do they have to do to win the football game today?
Well, Tennessee has to be able to get out quickly and get ahead quickly, like they have done so many times in the past. If they do that, they have a pretty good chance to win this football game.
Chris Clark, in contrast to Mississippi State, we're going to probably see Tennessee throw the ball
a lot.
A lot. Because the receivers are
out.
playing very well. The receivers are playing well, and the running backs have played well too. But the short passes, get to the short passes, let the guys run with the football, and that's been very effective for them. So I think we're going to see Tennessee airing it out a little bit today, or a lot, in my opinion. Huh?
I think they have the capability just with that trio of wide receivers they have is pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
They've played well, and again, you alluded to the hot start they had against Georgia. They scored right off the bat, up 21-7 at the end of the first. If they do that to Mississippi State, that's not the same caliber of team as Georgia.
Yeah,
not the same Bulldogs.
Not the same Bulldogs. I don't know if they can respond. I don't know if they're as resilient as the ones
smaller
from
Bulldogs.
Hey, listen, Aguilar is really hard to get to, Marcus. I mean, the reason he's hard to get to is they got the rhythm in the offense, and he basically just steps back, and he releases that ball within a couple of seconds on a short pass or whatever. That's really tough, in contrast to dropping back and looking down and throwing and so forth and so on. I mean, he gets rid of it so quick that they just don't get very many sacks on Tennessee.
He has got what Tennessee was missing last year, which was he can read. He's a veteran. He can read the field very quickly and make his decision, right or wrong. He's going to make it and get rid of it. And so far, he's been making a lot more good decisions than bad ones. And I think that's got why Tennessee has been so dynamic, is because you start off with that. You give him a little bit of touch on the long ball. Give him credit for that he can hit that. And your receivers start feeling good and start feeling confident.
Yeah.
And against Georgia, we saw them take that next step where there was chemistry with the receivers, where we saw receivers blocking downfield, not for performance sake, but actually getting after people.
Yeah. Sure.
So when you've got those three things going on in your passing game, you've got a good chance against anybody.
Chris Clark, my eyes are going to be on Tennessee's defense today, because I think that's where the key to all this lies. If they allow Mississippi State to run the football and to run the clock and control the game, we're going to have some difficulty. Now, are you worried about this Tennessee defense?
No.
Because compared to last year, this is kind of in reverse. Last year, Tennessee had the great defense. The offense wasn't quite up to par.
Right.
This year, the defense isn't quite up to par so far, and the offense is playing lights out like the defense played last year.
I mean, they've got a good front four, and if they can control that line of scrimmage, I mean, we know that's what you got to do in the SEC. But if they do that, I think Tennessee will be all right.
Yep. Well, anyway, it's going to be a big one in Starkville today, and that's a 4:15 start. 4:15. Is that game on ESPN?
I think it is.
I think it is on ESPN at 4:15.
4:15. Unusual starting time.
We'll look forward to that and see how this one comes out. It'll be the first real road test for this Tennessee football team. Hey, we'll take a timeout here, and when we return, Donnie Moore will provide high school football scores from last night. And we'll have some other news from around the area. And veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons joins us with his feature, Mark It Down. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports Page, Blount County Sports Voice. And now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities.
Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
Welcome back to the GoTeez Sports page. Donnie Moore, everybody was in action locally last night, and it was a pretty good night for Blount County football. It was Heritage lost a tough one in the last couple of minutes of that game against Carter. They scored. Heritage scored late, looked good, and then Carter came down and put one in with a couple of minutes to go and got them. And but William Blount, good night for them. A lot of points up on the board. A lot of points by William Blount,
across the board.
Alcoa, but I'll turn it over to you, and you can go further with it.
All right, thank you. Well, this is the results of Week 6 in prep football, right in the middle of the Mandy B. Street Realty Local Focus. Thanks to our friends at Mandy B. Street Realty for sponsoring our segment. Let's talk about Alcoa first. I go alphabetically every week, so let's talk about Alcoa first. They went to Fulton last night, and Fulton failed to tally, shall we say. Alcoa 63, Fulton 0. The Tornadoes are, goodness, they're such a complete football team. What are you on, 4, Marcus? Okay, there you go.
There,
My
yeah,
bad.
you know, it sounds like Alcoa ran the score up, but they did not.
They don't.
They were substituting it was again another game where the starters were sat the entire second half. They were substituting liberally in the second quarter.
Goodness.
There were most of their drives lasted 10 to 15 seconds and were under 2 plays. It was just, you know, it wasn't like they were just trying to bomb Fulton to death with deep passes. You know, the first 3 of the first 4 touchdowns were handoffs to the running back, and there was a gigantic hole.
Yeah.
And they just went for 40 or 50 yards. I mean, you had 9 different guys carry the ball. We had Condis Cherry had over 100, but nobody else had over 50 because he only got 2 or 3 touches.
Goodness.
I mean, I did not know this, but because it's Fulton, I'm going to bring it up. Did you know that the first game played at Bob Black Field was Alcoa against Fulton?
Huh. I did not. I was
And
not aware of that.
it went to overtime before Fulton won it 10-7. But that is the only time Alcoa has ever lost at Fulton.
The first game
was the very first time at Bob Black Field. And I was checking the record book. Lon Hersburn is still the 4th winningest coach in Fulton High School football history, and he is the only coach to ever take Fulton to 5 consecutive bowl games.
Good job, Lon. We miss him.
Yeah, we do.
Moving on to Eagleton College and Career Academy. It went a short distance down 411 Highway to Greenback last night, and that was a battle. I mean, that game stayed close the entire time.
Greenback was leading this game at halftime.
Yes. And Eagleton ends up winning 27-20. But you know, that was a good football game. Eagleton travels to Tellico Plains next week for a region game.
That's huge.
Tellico Plains was idle last night, so they don't have a score for them. Greenback travels to Wartburg Central next week.
Must-win game.
Yeah, it is a must-win.
Must-win game for
They
the
won
Cherokees.
22-16 over Oakdale.
Which was a bit of a surprise.
That was an upset right there in
That,
my book.
I mean, in the shuffling that's going on in the bottom half of that region, that was not one. Wartburg's a newcomer. They dropped down from 2A to 1A, but had not had a soft landing in 1A so far.
Yeah.
And that moved Wartburg up a couple lines, just getting that one win.
Indeed. Moving on over to Heritage last night, they hosted Carter in a region contest. Another good football game. 28-25 Carter. So Mountaineers lost 2, right?
Yeah, this was a heartbreaker for the Mountaineers.
It was, wasn't it?
I felt for Coach O and for the team.
Yeah, sure.
Josh Lane went down there to cover the game, and Heritage had this thing put away. Fourth quarter, you're up 20. You're up. You've got the lead, and everything that you could not allow to happen in the last 5 minutes of that game happened.
Yeah. Well, that stuff happens sometimes. So I hope Heritage bounces back next week. They take on William Blunt next week in the Battle of the Bell. So it's always, you can throw the records out the door.
Well, we know that.
Yeah.
But I was asked this week, because people are already talking about that game.
That's on Thursday, by the way.
It is a Thursday night game,
Thursday
and
night game.
it is on TV. What's the deal with the bell? I've never asked the question. Where'd the bell come from? I mean, did somebody steal it off a schoolhouse somewhere? Or?
Caleb's going to do a story on that sometime. He texted me and asked me for some info on the bell. The first time I know of its existence was 1995 or ish.
So it doesn't go all the way back to the first game in the 70s.
No.
Okay. See, I was trying to. Caleb asked me about it at one point, because he had asked me too, and I started feeding him this line that it came off a school up in Townsend, and they had brought it down, and the schools used to fight about who was going to get their students from this school, and he's looking at me like I'm just telling him the truth, and I felt bad and finally had to laugh. But
that's cool.
I think I even included the cannon in it and said that was something that they had stolen from the school as well, and it got involved. But anyway, it's going to be a great game. It always is when those two
always
play.
is, and televised on Thursday night, a Thursday night rivalry game. So it's it should be good. Maryville High School traveled over to West Knoxville to go to play Hardin Valley last night in a region contest. Had no trouble with the Hawks whatsoever. 46-6 is your final there. Maryville's rolling. Maryville's a good football team.
Maryville's continuing to improve. We saw another breakout performance. And I always laugh about when it happens this way, but you have a good tailback who's making good yards, which opens up so many options. So your good tailback gets 3 touchdowns, and they're all on passes.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that just happens with the Maryville team. But that defense, I don't think we've given enough credit.
I think you're
and
right.
And some of it's because of the way their schedule has not gone the way we thought, with West and Bearden not being the quality opponents they typically are.
Right.
But, when you hold a team to like 70 net yards in a game, when they're rushing for less than a yard per carry, your defense is doing something good.
Absolutely. Well, Maryville wins 46-6 over Hardin Valley in a region contest. They step out of the region next week and travel to the Middle Tennessee Grand Division to play Cookeville,
which was actually in discussion to be a member of this region anyway. I mean,
gotcha.
That was a possibility to take it up to an 8-team region, was to bring in Cookeville and shift them over, because they're kind of in an island. They're in the middle between Knoxville and Nashville, so they're in a region with Murfreesboro, which that's still an hour drive for every region game you got.
Well, we've all seen that film around here, haven't we? Having to travel for region games. Cookeville lost to Green Hill High School, which is a fairly new high school, just built, I think, in 2020, to ease the overcrowding at Mount Juliet. So it is a Mount Juliet school. Has about 2,000 students.
Yeah, I don't
Big
believe
school.
I don't believe they could do what Blount County did with Eagleton. I think they just had to split the school.
Yeah.
I don't think they could do the freshman sophomore thing. So
Right.
it started at full capacity.
Yeah, it sure did. And they even had 7th and 8th graders there, too, because they had some damage to one of their middle schools.
From the tornado.
Yeah, you're right. So upshot is Cookeville lost to Green Hill last night, 35-20. Cookeville hasn't won a game, so Maryville's likely to win this one.
I mean, it's not like Maryville could do much with their schedule because there's not that much in their control anymore. They're only scheduling 4 games. They're on their own. But you line up what should be good to powerful schools, and then you get them on a year where 3 of those 4 are over, and you're just, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that because on paper in July it looked like Maryville had 3 really tough games in their first 4, and only one of those turned out to be a quality opponent.
You're right. Moving on to William Blount hosting Carnes last night in a region contest. This game was close for a while, wasn't it?
It's kind of like being close to Tennessee at this point. Yeah, you're within shouting distance, but all of a sudden you're down by 4 scores.
Yeah.
I mean, William Blount can score the football.
They sure can. But, Carnes put up 30, but the bad news for the Beavers is Govs put up 55 points. So 55-30 in that win for William Blount last night at the Skip.
And that was a good win for them, going into the Heritage game next week.
You've got to win 3 games in that district to get in the playoffs and assure yourself you've got to win 3. So William Blount's got 2.
That's right. They travel to Heritage next week for the Battle of the Bell, as we were talking about momentarily a little while ago. Great football game upcoming. Look forward to that one.
It is, and second hour, hopefully we're going to get to talk to some of those Govs that are going to come by. And I understand they're already working towards, because of that rivalry and because it's Thursday night. So we're going to hope they can make it.
It is a Thursday night game too. You're right. Well, according to you're right. Seymour at Cherokee. Seymour loses a close one, Marcus, by 1 touchdown, 28-21.
This was their jump game where they could jump into the top of that region and get in that top 4 very easily with a win. And it didn't work out, but they also did not go down. This was a blowout game a year, I guess last 2 years. This has been a blowout game. So it shows that, there's a certain coaching family over there that's now involved in Seymour that's familiar to Maryville fans, and it shows the improvement that they're making.
Good. I'm glad they're getting better. They travel to Sullivan East, way up in northeast Tennessee next weekend to play Sullivan East, who lost last night to Granger, 27-22.
We'll just say the Eagles better win next week.
Well, it would be good. That's kind of pivotal in their season, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, you don't lose that one.
No, you can't. All right, folks, I want to tell you're listening to WKCE 92.5 FM and 1180 AM Mid-Century Radio. That's it for the Mandy B. Street Realty Local Focus segment. Thanks to Mandy B. Street for Realty for sponsoring this segment. Now I'm going to punt it over to our veteran sports writer and my friend Marcus Fitzsimmons for his feature, Mark It Down.
Well, Donnie, it was an ugly kick, but I'm going to Jacoby Cooper it, and I'm going to scoop it and take it for 70, all right?
I never had an ugly kick.
Yeah. You had to what was that kick again up there at Maryville College, that long kick you had?
73 yards in the air and rolled to the one, inside the one.
75-mile-an-hour wind that day.
And, that was back when the field was slanted and it was uphill.
Yeah. Yeah, just rolled on down there.
All right, you guys give me a break.
Okay. Well, you've heard him on here already a little bit this morning, but we're going to put Chris Clark dead center on the screen, and we've talked high school football. We're going to talk about the real football now.
Yes, sir.
The big football. Well,
Let's do it.
at least big boy pant football. Does that work? Because coming up, Parks and Rec is in the playoffs, so the Grasshoppers, the Pee-wees, and the Midgets are headed towards the Super Bowl, and there's nobody better to tell us about what's going on than Chris. So fill us in on where we are and what we're looking forward to coming up.
Well, we always appreciate the opportunity to step on here and tell a little bit about what we're doing. We take a lot of pride in our programs, and our youth football program is no different than any others that we have. It's a competitive program, and actually so competitive that I can't give you the Grasshopper playoff schedule, which will be played Tuesday night at Everett. But I can't give you that schedule because we have 3 games going on at Greenback this morning to determine who's in and who's out. 4 teams will be in. We know the top seed will be the Maryville Little Rebs, but then everything else is kind of being determined. So, but it's good. I mean,
well, that's what you want. You don't. Yeah. I mean, coming down to the last day of the regular season, it means every game still counts.
Everything's wide open.
Absolutely. Our Grasshoppers are playing today. Our Pee-wee and Midgets. We have 4 teams that make the playoffs, and we play at Everett as much as we can to utilize our new fields that we take such pride in. It is. It's a beautiful field that we have been blessed with, and then we're also playing at Heritage High School. None of our programs are successful without great communication and work from the community with partnerships.
Gotcha.
All the high schools have been very gracious to allow us to use their fields at one time or another this year for our games. Just because we can't host everything at our place. We'd love to, but that's not realistic. And also, these schools need to have an opportunity to showcase their programs and play on their home fields. Get them some revenue, so that helps. Anytime they can generate some type of revenue for them, because it's not cheap to have a football program. I mean, we tell people when they start them, you're looking at about $10,000 in one team. So that's Grasshoppers, $10,000, Pee-wees, $10,000. I mean, if you have 3 programs, you're looking at $30,000 you have to have off the top. So, because equipment is expensive.
Oh,
but
you better believe it.
It's not getting any cheaper, and it's not going to. And the same equipment that the high school kids are using, we're using in our Pee-wee and Midgets. The schools, I mean, the teams take care of their own fundraising and do all that, but they're safe. I mean, this is safe equipment that all the high schools are wearing. So
all certified stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So it's
And you know, I think you see it, and it's a little funny sometimes with some of the plays, but they're wearing the helmets that are state of the art.
Absolutely.
Out there. Sometimes it makes the heads look a little bit big when they're running down the field, but it's the best protection that's out there.
Yeah. We met with a helmet provider, and they have helmets now that you can buy pads for as a youth league, go into middle school, and then high school. The same helmet, just get it they get it recertified every year and get the pads changed, but it's the same. I mean, it's
that's a far cry from that strap in the helmet we used to wear when I was playing.
No
you
doubt.
Remember those helmets?
Absolutely. When I started playing, we still had a few of those that kind of
suspension helmets.
Then we went to the cheese pack. That was the bike. They had the cheese pack to give, and then you had the bike air, and then now what they have is just unbelievable with what they had. The VCs and everything that they have top of the line. So yeah, the technology's come a long way in the helmets and how they protect the athletes.
So how many teams do we have are in the league at this point?
Okay, we have 20 teams. This year the Cubs and Bears, they had the Titans. They didn't have enough to field a team. So that's the only one that didn't have one. But we have Eagleton has 3 teams. Maryville, Little Rebs, Southerners, and Rebs, they have a team. Then you have the Mini Govs, Heritage, Eagleton, Greenback. So, I mean, all the schools, all the community schools are there, and it's the old community schools that we all knew years ago. So there's a lot of pride that goes on in our program.
Of course.
So there's not a Friendsville or a Lanier or any of those. It's kind of what the schools we have now.
It is, man. But when I started,
it's all consolidated into William
when
Blount.
I started 29 years ago, Lanier was top dog for a long time, And then you had Friendsville had a team. I saw this year before our Smoky Mountain Classic, Rick Tipton, who coached the Friendsville Falcons midget team years ago, is back coaching with his. I think he's coaching a grandson at the Maryville or at the William Blunt Mini Govs Grasshopper program.
Wow.
So stability is key in our program. We have teams like that. We have a new coach this year in the Mini Govs midget program. Y'all may know him. He may have been on here before, Rick Young.
Oh, yeah.
Rick Young's back.
He's a friend of the sports
He's back.
page.
He's out of retirement?
He's back. They needed a coach, and they called Rick, and Rick said, I don't want to see these kids go to middle school. I want them to play midget, so I'll coach it. So he's back coaching this year. Talked to him a couple weeks ago, and he said it's the best. All I do is show up and coach. He doesn't have to worry about fundraising. He doesn't worry about anything else. All he has to do is coach the kids. Because and all of our teams have core guys and ladies that run their programs to make sure that they're funded, they're taken care of the right way, and the coaches just coach.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't so lucky they have to do it all, but for a majority of our teams, they've got team moms. They've got parents that are pitching in and doing snacks and making sure that the fundraisers, the gates, they cover a gate at each of their places to make sure the gate money is taken and deposited. So it's
make sure the teams are funded and fed.
Yeah.
That's it.
What about the officials, Chris? Are they TW?
They are.
We officials?
We are using the TLSAA officials. Larry Hunt does the scheduling of that, and we pride ourselves in that's a learning for our new officials. We have a lot of new officials this year in the Blount County Association. I think we brought in 6 new officials this year. And
that's half
some
a
of them,
crew.
Sure
it
is.
is. And some of them are getting Friday night experience because they have experience from where they've come from. But we're using that as a teaching to learn. The kids are learning, so why don't the officials learn as well? We have some veterans that love doing our Pee Wee and Midget program. They just love getting out there and being a part of it Monday and Tuesdays. And then, some guys work Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And then, some of them are holding the chains at Maryville College and on their home games. So, but that is, it's a doing it the right way and learning how to work all the positions. Referee, we don't have back judges. We do a 4-man crew or a 3-man crew, depending, but you'll have sideline officials and the referee and umpires. So it's a good learning tool for our officials.
I'm glad Larry Hunt's involved in that. I think he's the only official that never teed me up.
So we don't know what the participants are going to be, but tell us about the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl's next Saturday. They start at 9 o'clock at Maryville High School. Again, partnerships with the schools. We're not having soccer next week, but we like to spread the wealth. Maryville High School has hosted that this year. We'll start at 9 o'clock with the Grasshoppers. The Pee-wees will play at 10:30, and then the Midgets will play at 12. And 3 good games at Maryville High School.
And the trophies are bigger than the players?
They're big, and we've had the same trophies for years. Since I started, the same trophies. They're the old wooden trophies that you can't afford to make nowadays.
No, absolutely.
I would hate to replace one of those. But, yeah, they're good. But the Super Bowl will be next week. Playoffs will be Monday, Tuesday, and then the Super Bowl on Saturday.
So is it free admission or is it?
No, we do charge.
Do charge?
It's 5 and above. Anything over the age of 18, $5. Because, it used to be that we'd charge kids and brothers, and we're like, look, let's just charge anybody over 18.
There you go.
Let the kids come in and enjoy. They're not watching the game anyway.
That's pretty cheap for a day of football.
Absolutely.
So, we all know about the dark sides of the sport. Do you have to do some controls with the middle school and high school coaches to keep them from coming there and trying to make NIL deals with some of these guys?
Fortunately, we've not seen much of that. But
okay.
Yeah.
It's a vicious world out there now.
Yeah.
Wow, it is. You're right.
Nobody's off limits.
And I do enjoy, because every so often we'll get one of those high school backs where you put their name in, and it shows up that they scored in the Super Bowl as a little one.
Right.
And you're just like, wow, this guy's been something special since literally he could walk.
Yeah.
But one thing, we haven't really had a chance to ask you about it. You mentioned it here, but with everybody getting turf now, has that made your all's life a lot more simpler when it comes to scheduling the little football?
Yeah.
Because now you can play regardless of what it did Friday night.
Right. If it was always, man, when I first started, Jerry Thompson was the athletic director at Maryville High School, and we would stay in contact Tuesday, Wednesday. Hey, is it raining? What we looking like? We played one year out at Heritage in the Super Bowl, and Chip Fuller was the athletic director out there then, and he said, well, this is the last game, just play. And it was a mess.
Oh.
So, yeah, now, regardless of what happens Friday night,
Sure.
we're playing Saturday morning.
You're good
on
to go.
every field. I mean, I think Greenback's getting their turf supposedly this year.
Good.
So that would mean every field that we play on has turf, and so you don't have to worry about it. As long as you don't have storms and if it rains a little bit, we can play. So it is a lot better for us. We don't have to. We did cancel one game this year. That was a Tuesday night when it was just an absolute downpour and it wasn't safe to play. I mean, it's those things, but
yeah,
we play.
Well, you can't do it in the Lightning anyway.
Exactly.
No.
True.
I mean,
yeah.
that turf doesn't protect you from lightning.
No, it does not.
So, is there any thought about maybe Parks and Rec could go the other direction with some of this? Maybe do some flag football with, the senior citizens. Get some of the original Everett players out there on the Everett field.
Like Tom Brady, you mean?
Yeah. And
They could be the Tom Brady League. That'd be a great name for it, Donnie.
It would.
But you say that we do have flag football on Sundays at Everett that we play on all three fields there at Everett, and we have 225 kids playing in it.
Good gracious.
Now, is that also becoming, because now it's an official high school sport, is that changing the impact of flag football a little bit?
Well, for us, we're really interested in starting a ladies league because ladies is now a TLSAA sport. So we have a few ladies playing, but we don't have a lot. But that's we're trying to get that. We're trying to get to the point where we have a lot of ladies playing.
Well, you and Joe just need to go visit with the Titans,
Yeah.
because I understand they've got some money they're willing to spend to help make this thing grow.
You say that, and I got to check this because I got an email from them one time, and it said youth football within the Titans region. That region was like 75 miles of Nashville. I don't know if it's changed now that it's delayed, because I was like, well, that cheats us because we're a lot farther away, but we could utilize some of that money as well. So I don't know.
Could.
But that may be something we look into, because NFL that's who we use the NFL flag for our league, and it's the replica jerseys, and the kids love it because they look like the professionals.
Look like they're stars.
That's it.
They're idols.
And it doesn't take much to keep them excited, but that's one thing that will.
Absolutely.
All right. We got to get off and take a break here, but give a quick shout out. Parks and Rec's got a lot going on right now. I know you've got some of the fall sports that are moving into the playoffs now, but that means just winter stuff is
Right.
So what sign-ups are coming up or right on the edge?
Yeah,
now?
registration started for men's or for co-ed and ladies volleyball, also for basketball, and then youth basketball registration starts Monday, the 29th. So we're moving, as we're seeing the end of our fall sports, we're getting ready for the winter. We'll start having evaluations in November and start practicing basketball right after Thanksgiving. Blount County Sports Hall of Fame is October 27th at the Airport Hilton. We have a good class. I brought the list, and it's a who's who of Blount County sports. We've got Todd Hannum, played at Maryville High School, Bo Spears, Maryville High School, Missy Barker Johnson from Alcoa,
Yep.
John and Joe Emmert, the Emmert boys.
Emmert
Now,
boys.
that's what I always heard was the Emmert boys
The
from
Emmert
Maryville.
boys. That's what you
And
hear.
Lauren Riddick from William Blunt.
Yep.
Gay Johnson Hasty, who's our outgoing
County
clerk.
That's right.
Danny Maples, who has been coaching
Oh,
our
wow.
program forever
Yeah.
with the Maryville Bears. Kaylin Arnold Elliott played at Tennessee, Florida State. Owns all. Man, I was reading her bio. She was tough.
She was.
When she was in high school, man,
She was something to watch in high school.
that was impressive.
She could do some things, and I think it actually scared some of the batters.
Yeah.
Oh, I do too.
We also have Andy Howdeshell. Andy was a great athlete from Heritage. Went to ETSU. Had a
Good baseball
hit
player.
54 home runs in college.
Dang.
That's a
Yeah,
40,
ton.
but that's a ton.
Sure is.
And then the VF Goddard, he's going in as our Legends of the Past.
Legend.
And that's pretty cool. I mean, he was the first director of TLSAA, if I'm not mistaken.
think he
There's an
was.
award for him. Very, very fitting. It's just the thing about our Blount County Sports Hall of Fame, people are like, well, why isn't this guy in or why isn't this lady in? Well, we have to be nominated. Somebody has to
Right.
nominate them.
Exactly.
So if anybody knows of somebody that they think is deserving, get us some information about them. We'll put them on in the ballot next April.
That's it.
And then we're also recognizing 2 teams. Gay Hasty was on the 1977 Porter. I think that's right. 77-78 Porter girls basketball team. They're being recognized, and also the 91-92 boys basketball team from Alcoa High School. If you remember that, if you remember that bunch,
Sure
Micah
was.
Marsh, Al Davis,
Oh man,
Jay Van Hook, Brian Davis, Brian Bledsoe. I was going to say Kip, but Tyrus Gilmore,
oh yeah,
Marshawn Asbury, who passed away here recently.
Right.
But that squad,
that was a good, good team.
They were loaded.
Going back to Kalen Arnold just a minute, our good friend of the show, Charlie Paleo, part of the family, just reminded me that Kalen Arnold was the Sports Page Player of the Year when she was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Is that on her bio? We need to make sure that's included.
Yeah,
in
make
the
sure
bio
that's,
for
it's
the
got to
Hall
be
of
on the
Fame.
bio.
We need to make sure when they write
Sports
the script
Page
that they
Player
get us
of
in
the
there.
Year.
But we're going to have to take a quick break. But Chris, thanks for coming in this morning. Especially because you get so few breaks during the fall. You're usually out there in the stripes, so we appreciate you taking one of your off days to come visit with us. And,
Well, you had asked us to come in August, and we just had a lot going on then, and I was off this weekend, and so I thought, well, this would be a good time to hit up our championship. And
It
then
would.
And then the
Great time.
I
Hall of
learned my
Fame.
lesson. I got to wait until the lifeguards are no longer an issue before I try to get them in. But, Mike, we'll go ahead and turn the page.
And Chris Borg, one last thing. I think it's great that Parks and Rec have set up there at Everett High School and been able to restore and keep that campus all up, athletic over there with the fields and the field house. And I know a lot of players and athletes that went to Everett High School. That means a lot to them to still see that gym where they played in and that football field out there. You probably get a lot of remarks about that. And a lot of places, I know my high school is the school is there, but the gym was torn down, and you lose a little bit.
You do.
You lose a little bit when you can't go and see that anymore.
A cool story. Last year when we got our field in, this gentleman and his wife drove down, and he said, "Can I walk out on the field?" Because we had it locked for a while just to keep people off of it. We didn't want to wear it out right off the bat. And I said, sure. So I opened up the gate, and he walked out there, and he went up on the bleachers and took a picture, and he said, I graduated from Everett. And I heard y'all did this, and I wanted to come see it.
Yeah.
So we've got the Bulldog in the middle, Everett in the end zones. Because, it's Everett High School field.
Sure it
Yeah,
is.
we Buddy Williams Field. That was the name of the guy that was named after, and we've got a sign on the back of the stadium of our press box that says Buddy Williams Field because we wanted to give the Everett folks that, because that's what that field is.
Yeah. Outstanding. Chris, good to see you.
Great to see you all.
Yeah. Hey, it's my understanding we're coming back to Donnie Moore for some sports headlines. Is that right?
That works.
Yeah.
After
All right.
after we
You're
take a
listening
break.
to the GoTeez Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports. Chris, how's your mom? She's good. She's good, and give my regards to both of them.
Definitely will.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
Welcome back to the GoTeez Sports Page. Donnie Moore, we're swapping out, switching up, substituting, whatever we want to name it this morning. And
What we're good at.
we're moving you up.
What we're good at, brother.
We're moving you up.
Moving on up to
All right.
the east side.
All right.
Here we go.
See what happens when you behave yourself. We'll give you a little bit better spot in the show.
He keeps going good. We'll move him
Slide
right on up.
huh?
If you don't get upset on Friday night on the away game, we'll let you move up in the schedule a little bit.
Sounds good. I like it. Let's move to our sports headlines segment, brought to you as always by Fast Signs. The Major League Baseball regular season is down to the last week, and here are your current leaders in each division. In the American League Central, the two leaders are the Guardians and the Tigers. It's kind of unusual, but we can live with that. American League East, your two leading teams are the Blue Jays and the Yanks. American League West, leaders are the Mariners right now. In the National League Central, we got the Brewers on top. National League East, you have the Phillies. And the National League West, can you take a guess?
Dodgers.
The Dodgers, yes, on top. Things are heating up for all you Major League Baseball fans. Next up, playoffs.
Yeah, Cubs are in.
That's right. Let's do it.
Cubs are already in.
Let's do it. Well, Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza has emerged after Week 4 as the leading candidate for the Heisman Trophy, Mike.
Wow.
Yeah. He has thrown 14 touchdown passes so far, including 5 in a 63-10 pounding of Illinois last week, which proved the Hoosiers to be a legit contender for the CFP or the CF playoff, college football playoffs, out of the Big Ten. Mendoza would be the first Heisman winner in history for Indiana if he does win. However, there's plenty of competition and more than half the season ahead.
Yeah, that Heisman Trophy, it looks to be wide open this year.
It does. You're right.
When I look at it.
You know, the sad thing is, if he had had that kind of a game in November rather than September,
right,
you would say he was the favorite.
I agree.
If you went in and embarrassed a top 10 team at their place, and with that kind of performance, you're like 5 touchdowns. That's 5 more votes. You're the favorite.
Oh yeah.
Let me tell you something. He's got more left in the tank because they don't play Michigan and they don't play Ohio State. They've got Oregon next week, and they got Penn State on the road. And outside of that, he's got some of those games where he can put up some big numbers in November.
If he puts up a good game against Penn State, I would say he would be the favorite, given the state of things right now, where not many people are impressing right now.
Well, John Mateer has been the favorite, but he's injured, so.
Yeah, he'll be out a month.
Yeah, he'll be out a month. You're right. Former Hoosier running back Anthony Thompson finished as runner-up in the Heisman voting to Houston quarterback Andre Ware in 1989. So that's as high as they've gone. The 2025 Ryder Cup is underway with the best golfers from the U.S. and Europe competing in golf's most prestigious team event. Action this year is at Bethpage Black in Farmingdale, New York. In the last Ryder Cup in 2023, the U.S. lost to Europe 16.5 to 11.5 in Italy. Half points. So I guess that's the only sport you can get half points in. Is Russell Wilson finished as a starting quarterback in the NFL? Maybe. At least
what will
for
they
the
talk about
foreseeable
on the morning
future.
shows?
Well, that's true. You got to have somebody to talk about. Former stars Tony Gonzalez and Richard Sherman think that Wilson has, quote, played himself out of being a future Hall of Famer.
I think that's sadly possible.
I do too. By way of proof, they pointed out the fact that since the Seahawks traded RW to Denver following the 2021 season, he is, as a starter, he is 17-27, his record.
And has not looked anywhere.
He has not.
As competent and efficient as the player he was at Seattle.
You're exactly right.
And what that does is it introduces the thought that it may have been the coach and not the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
It puts that degree of doubt out there.
Well, anyway, New York Giants rookie quarterback Jackson Dart will make his starting debut versus the Los Angeles Chargers tomorrow. Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, out of Ole Miss. Well, a lawsuit brought by former University of Kentucky swimmer Riley Gaines and nearly 24 other athletes against the NCAA was largely dismissed on Thursday. but a judge ruled that the Title IX claims against the NCAA can proceed to the next stage, which is likely to be a discovery stage. Georgia Tech was the host of the 2022 NCAA Division I Women's Swimming and Diving Championships, in which Penn swimmer Leah Thomas won the 500-yard freestyle. Thomas is a transgender athlete. Leave that there. Dodgers pitcher Clayton Kershaw wanted to soak in every moment of Los Angeles' post-game celebration yesterday as the team won their 14th National League West championship with Kershaw as a player. Kershaw, soaked in beer and smoking a stogie, celebrated with gusto his final division title. Great pitcher.
Yeah, always good to go out on a high note.
Yeah, no doubt. Micah Parsons is returning to Dallas for the first time after being traded from the Cowboys to the Packers, and he says, it's just another game. Just another game. Sure it is, Micah. And the Grand Canyon's just another hole in the ground.
He's just a strange bird.
He is very strange.
I understand why perhaps Jerry didn't want to keep him, but because I could see where they could have some clash of personalities there.
I can see that as well.
You know, wow. He can in the locker room. He can after a game. He's got tangents. He's got those mental tangents. He'll just take a path and go, which I guess they're used to in Green Bay because they had Aaron Rodgers and he did that as well.
Well, the primetime showdown between the two teams could be a slaughter in the making, according to some of the prognostication experts, considering the woeful state of the Dallas D. Parsons owns a 4-year, $186 million contract that averages $46.5 million per annum. Can you imagine making that much money? He is the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history.
It seems like we say that about some player every year.
We do, yeah,
I mean,
of course.
The ceiling on that just continues to climb.
Continues to rise, doesn't it? On this day in sports, September 27th, 1881. Let's go all the way back to 1881. The Cubs beat Troy 10-8 before a record small crowd of 12 fans.
Wow.
Was Helen involved in that for Troy?
Maybe so. Maybe so. 1914, Cleveland's second baseman, Napla Joey. That's a name we go back and goes way back in history. But he collected his 3,000th hit on this date in 1914. 1921, American swimmer Johnny Weissmuller. That's a name we know
Tarzan.
and love. Yes, sir, Tarzan.
Yeah.
Sets his first two wide receivers, or world records, I'm sorry. Sets his first two wide receivers. I abbreviated that. World records in the 100 meters and the 150-yard freestyle. They had both. In Brighton Beach, New York. 1923, New York Yankee Lou Gehrig swats the first of his 493 home runs. Golly. Iron Horse. 1930, Bobby Jones wins his 5th national amateur title. Clinches golf's Grand Slam on this date. Goodness. 1931, the closest National League batting race ends. The Cards' Chick Haffey's .34889 batting average beats New York Giants' Bill Terry's .34861. 28/10,000th of a percentage point.
Well, I'd be going back.
That's how close it was.
I'd go back and look at the season and see if there were some errors that should have been hits, and maybe some hits that should have been errors for the other guy.
You just about have to, wouldn't you?
That close.
1936, first baseman Walter Alston plays his only Major League Baseball game for the Cardinals. Later manages the Brooklyn and L.A. Dodgers for 23 years. Yeah. Walter Alston. 1942, New York football Giants beat the Washington Redskins 14-7 without making a first down.
Wow.
Didn't make a first down and won the game.
Well, that'd be an exciting game to watch.
It would, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
1950, heavyweight champ Ezzard Charles decisions Joe Louis in 15 rounds in Yankee Stadium. Man, fans got their money's worth on that one, didn't they? 1961, Sandy Koufax sets the National League strikeout record for the season with 269 strikeouts.
Yeah. Casey Stengel called him the greatest pitcher ever.
Mm-hmm. Best one I ever saw. 1967, Phillies pitcher Jim Bunning ties the National League record of 5 1-0 losses in 1 year. Lost 1-0 5 times in 1 year.
Yeah. Well, you'd be getting on some other players for some hits on that deal.
Yeah, really. 1973, Rangers pitcher Nolan Ryan strikes 16 out in 11 innings. 16 in 11 innings for a record 383 in that season. Man, great.
Nobody
pitcher.
goes 11 innings anymore.
No,
so
absolutely not. 1983, Tim Raines is the first since Ty Cobb to steal 70 and drive in 70 runs. 1987, the NFL players' strike begins in the U.S. In 1988, American diver Greg Louganis wins double gold in Seoul on the 10-meter platform and the 3-meter springboard. Great diver. 1988, Canadian sprinter Ben Johnson DQ'd from Seoul in the 100 meters, the Olympics there, after testing positive for a banned substance in a urine test. American Carl Lewis is awarded the gold and the world record at 9.92 seconds in the 100 meters. 1990, Tour de France champ Greg LeMond visits the White House. Do you know Greg LeMond lives in Townsend?
Really?
Yeah, sure does.
Now?
Yeah, now.
Does he still cycle up and
Certainly
down
does.
the trail?
Yeah. Now, there you go. There you go. Words from Robert Reeves, William Lund High School's head football coach, who has joined us now. Thanks for joining us, Rob. 1996, Orioles' Roberto Alomar spits in the face of umpire John Hirschbeck. Remember that one? Whew.
And yet we're still talking about those kind of incidents 30 years later.
True that. 2008, Greg Maddux wins his final career start. Number 355. Victory number 355. Great pitcher. 1949, born on this day in 1949, Hall of Fame Phillies third baseman Mike Schmidt. 75 years old, still alive today. A couple of deaths to speak of on this date. 1956, athlete extraordinaire Babe Didrikson Zaharias died on this day. She won 10 LPGA majors and also won 2 Olympic golds. Died of colon cancer at 45 years old. Yeah. And in 2010, George Blanda passed away. Professional Football Hall of Fame quarterback. Played for the Bears, the Oilers, the Raiders, and died at 83 years old. George Blanda.
Played football for 60 years.
Played longer than most of us.
Yeah,
A lot of people are still alive.
Quarterback for a long time. Then he started kicking the football so he could stay around a little bit longer.
You're right. Well, that's it for this week's Sports Headlines segment, brought to you, as always, by Fast Signs. I'm Donnie Moore. Back to you, Gunner.
All right, let's talk about some college football here. Last night, Arizona State beat TCU 27-24. Arizona State is their only loss, Marcus, was to Mississippi State. So they're 4-1, and they had a big win at home last night against TCU. I don't really know where to start with these games today. Some of them are in the SEC and some of them are in the Big Ten, but we've got some really, really big contests, and I'm going to start with.
Do you want to brag about Indiana first or Notre Dame?
Well, I'm not going to say much about Notre Dame, but Indiana, you know, they're playing very well.
They are.
Yes, sir.
No question.
They're the real thing, and They made the playoffs last year, and it looks like they're hungry to come back and maybe get them a playoff victory this year. But we're going to see how that plays out. But they're at Iowa today, and I want to talk a little bit about that here in a few minutes.
Well, I like the question they're putting out there. Is Indiana this year's Indiana after what they did last year?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like they're in the same position.
I think they got a really good chance at the playoffs and maybe advancing in the playoffs this year because they finally brought their mascot back. I guess the guys like us
need
and
that
everybody
mascot.
down here is going, well, who's a Hoosier? Who's a Hoosier? I don't want to. What's a Hoosier? Well, they've brought the bison back. They had a bison as a mascot years and years ago, and they brought the bison back. So
What, did they forget it somewhere?
Well,
they leave it at the stadium?
I don't know the story on that. They dropped it, but he's back.
That's what the Buffalo said to his male son when he left for work that day. Bye, son.
Yeah. Lord.
Gosh.
Oh, Lord. Oh. Hey, LSU number 4 is at Ole Miss today, and Ole Miss is a 1.5-point favorite. That game's at 3:30 on ABC. Donnie, what do you think? It's going to be a tough test for LSU going on the road there, and got Ole Miss. You got the Lane train down there. They've got 4 wins, and they're 2-0 in the league.
They are. It's hard to beat Mississippi at home, and I'm yet to be convinced that LSU is a top-rated team.
Yeah, well, I'd like for them to lose just because of Brian Kelly.
You and me both.
I don't particularly care all that much for Lane Kiffin, but Brian Kelly. But that's going to be a good one down there. This afternoon. Alabama's at Georgia. Alabama number 17, Georgia number 5. Georgia comes in 1-0 in the league, 3-0 overall. Alabama 2-1. They were blown out at Florida State, and this is the first SEC game for Alabama. Marcus, not an easy place to go by any stretch of the imagination, to go down there to Athens to open up SEC play, and huge game here for both these teams.
Oh, it certainly is. I mean, in Georgia's case, this is the opportunity to cement themselves as the top front runner for the league. In Alabama's case, it's your chance for redemption. You can put Florida State in the rearview mirror by winning at Georgia. Yeah. Nobody will remember that in October if you win today.
Yeah.
Alabama needs this game.
They desperately. Georgia can survive losing it. Yes. Alabama cannot.
No.
Alabama is on a totally different track if they can't win today with having the 2 losses in the first 6 weeks of the season.
That game's on ABC at 7:30. Number 22 Notre Dame 1-2, 4.5-point underdog at Arkansas. Arkansas is 2-2 and 0-1. That game starts at 12 o'clock, high noon today on ABC. And Notre Dame, I don't know, 1-2 at number 22. They had them ranked in the top 25 last week, and they hadn't won a game.
Right.
and they did win last week. Wasn't all that impressive, but now they're 1-2. They got to go to Arkansas to play today, and Arkansas lost at Memphis last week. Both of these teams have got major issues on defense.
They do.
Neither one of these teams can stop anybody, especially Notre Dame. Their secondary struggling. They look disoriented on the defensive alignments, and Arkansas pretty much the same way. But on the other hand, both teams can put up a lot of points, Marcus. They can put up a lot of points on the scoreboard, so I don't know. I don't know if they got enough lights on the scoreboard down there to keep them lit with these two offenses, but the defenses they're struggling.
I think it's going to be an entertaining game. I don't know that its consequences are going to matter all that much in the big scheme of things, but it will make some interesting talking points if you can make the comparison that, say, Notre Dame loses to the team that lost to Memphis.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes some conversation.
If the Irish lose today, they're out of any talks on the playoffs.
If they lose today, they're free fall.
But if they win, their schedule is very attractive the rest of the way out, and they could finish the year at 10-2 and be in some discussion as far as the playoff because they're an independent.
But if you're 9-3, they will hang Arkansas around your neck for the rest of the
year. Yeah. I agree with you there. Auburn at 3-1 and 0-1 in the league is at number 9 Texas A&M. Texas A&M's 3-0, and that game's at 3:30 on ESPN, and A&M's a 7-point favorite going into that. ranked number 9 in the country, and they're coming off that win up at South Bend over Notre Dame, but they were off last week, and Auburn lost a tough one out at Oklahoma, Donnie. So
that's right, they did.
I don't know.
And lost their head basketball coach.
Yeah, it's been a bad week for Auburn. It's going to get worse today because they're going to get beat down at Texas A&M down at College Station.
You know, I didn't want to put Chris on the spot asking him about that call, but, you know, that's just such a – I mean, you know when you're arguing it and you know that you are right and you can't understand why the officials are looking at you that way.
Yeah.
And you know the guys they're in the press box, you know your assistants are telling you what they're saying on TV. Mm-hmm. Because it's not like they don't keep a TV in the back of their – and
sure,
they're telling you that everybody's agreeing with you, and you're looking at a guy who's saying no. And it changes the outcome of your game.
And what can you do?
Hey, you talk about a couple of teams that's desperate for a win, and they're just reeling right now, is Kentucky at 2-1 and 0-1 in the league. They're at South Carolina. South Carolina's 2-2 and 0-2 in the SEC. And what high hopes a few weeks ago everybody had for South Carolina, I think they were ranked up there in the top
they were, yeah.
top 10, I believe, in the nation. And they're a 5.5-point favorite today at home, and that game's on the SEC Network at 7:45. Okay. But if South Carolina loses today, that means they will have lost to Kentucky and they will have lost to Vanderbilt, and they've not even got into the tough part of their schedule yet. They're in big trouble, Marcus.
Oh, they're in big trouble, and you want to paraphrase Ray on this one, but the road from the big house to the outhouse is a very short path.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right, and that's where they're at right now. In the other two SEC games, Utah State 3-1 and 1-0 is at number 8 Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt 4-0 and 1-0. They're a 23.5-point favorite. That's on the SEC Network at 12:45. And real quick, Marcus,
anchor down.
Can Vanderbilt big game next game? They're all riding high over there. Number 18th in the country. Been a long time since they've been in this spot. They're bringing Utah State in here at 3-1 and 1-0. Is this a game to be reckoned with or not for the Commodores?
Well, you know, we saw them already come back and take care of Georgia State, which was a question mark actually, whether they could big game next game that. I'm not going to put anything past this Vanderbilt team. I've said since the court decision that with this quarterback, Vanderbilt is just totally unpredictable, and I think they can play with almost anybody and lose to almost anybody at the same time.
Yeah. The other SEC game today, UMass 0-3 goes to Missouri. Missouri's ranked number 20th in the country, 4-0 and 1-0. And there, the Tigers are a cool 44.5-point favorite today.
Yeah, the Minutemen, I don't think they've got anything
looks good for them to go 5-0. We've got some other top games left. We want to go. We want to spend some time on here before the end of the show, but we're gonna break here and go to the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week segment, and then we'll come back and close with these other games. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925. Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew, and now it's time for the Sports Page Player of the Week segment, brought to you by Marcus Fitzsimmons and sponsored by Anderson Lumber Company, where quality service is always a priority, proudly serving Blount County for over 100 years. Marcus Fitzsimmons, we got a team in here. Speaking of points, they can put them up.
Oh yeah, we mentioned it before they got here,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like Tennessee. They can score on anybody.
Yeah.
There's not been a doubt about that this year. And we're going to thank them for making the trip over here because we know we were talking first hour about they have a game against somebody on Thursday, and they're already starting to work. So they're coming in here from a practice session. Coach Reeves, William Blunt joining us. Coach, just in case there are people out there who've never seen these guys without a helmet on and couldn't recognize them on the Facebook feed, go ahead and introduce them for us.
Yeah, so to my right is Jackson Dabrowski. He's our quarterback, one of our team captains, part of our Unity Council, and he's, 4-year starter. That's crazy and unbelievable. We've had 4 years together.
Goodness.
And then I also have Aiden Klein, and Aiden's another Unity Council team captain and 4-year starter. Started from a freshman year all the way to now. So, man, time goes fast. Time goes fast.
And you picked the right people because I'm looking at the Daily Times right now, and I'm looking at the big photo above this story, and it's Jackson dropping back, getting ready to make a pass, and right underneath it, it's Aiden celebrating a touchdown up in the air with Braden Bird in the end zone. So we got the all-stars in.
Sure.
Coach, what is this team? This team feels like an offensive team, and I don't think I've ever put you in that category as the outscore 'em coach, but I'm changing my mind.
Yeah, I'd rather not be the outscore 'em. I'd like to be the outscore 'em and everything part of it. But, no, these guys, we knew going into this year that we were going to have some opportunities to be successful offensively. When you have a quarterback at the caliber of Jackson and a running back of the caliber of Aiden, and then you put that together with our offensive line, which is, we have 3 seniors on that offensive line that have been playing for 3 years, and then also adding some really nice pieces in our receiving core. We knew we had a chance to be successful offensively. And, really, for the most part, we've played well offensively. I think really we had one hiccup game versus Powell, but that's, nothing to be embarrassed about. They're a pretty daggum good team. Yeah. And we also shot ourselves in the foot a few times that game. And then even in the game versus Halls, we moved the ball well. There's a couple times we made some mental errors that hurt us. But, we've played pretty well offensively this year. I'm really proud of the team.
Well, you've got 49 or more 4 times in 6 games where, you feel like some stuff's clicking. And I'm going to assume these 2 guys are big parts of it right here.
Oh, man, absolutely. I was actually just looking at some stats for just overall stats for us. What I'm really proud about is the fact that, we've almost thrown for 1,400 and ran for 1,000. So that's pretty balanced, and I like that because as a defensive coordinator, you look at that and you're like, okay, what do we do? Because they can throw the ball, they can run the ball, and that presents problems. And so for us, I like the fact that we're balanced. It really helps us in game plans in our advantage, I think, sometimes for a lot of teams.
Well, I'm gonna put you on the spot before I ask him about it, but you start the game last night. What does it do to your game plan when you have somebody like Aiden just totally take the kickoff and just go away with it?
Yeah, it's awesome, man. We haven't had one of those in a while. So actually, our kickoff team's been really good. Both teams, but our kickoff return team this year has been really, really good. We haven't taken one home, but we've averaged 25 to 30 somewhere. We usually get out to 25 to 35 yard line. That changes the whole game, in my opinion. That's one thing that hurt us against Halls is they kicked in the end zone every time, and it's a real advantage to have somebody that can do that. But when he took that to the house, it just set the tempo, set the energy level. Let the guys know that we're here to play, and it brought some excitement. Because I knew all along that Aiden had the capability of doing that. We just needed to get a kick to let him get going up the middle, and he did a wonderful job. There at the end, though, he started slowing down just a tad. I was like, what's wrong with this guy? What's up with him? He's kind of slow right now. What?
Okay.
I'm gonna throw him under it now. But he actually been battling a little bit of a little nagging injury, but he fought through it and he ran that ball all the way back. So I was really excited about that for him.
And I'm going to bet the only person disappointed was Jackson, who's getting ready to walk out in the field. It's like, oh, they don't need me now.
Nope.
Got to go back. Got to go back and wait.
Back to defense.
Aiden, talk about that opening kick. Was it just the guys opened a hole? You saw a seam? Was it a combination of stuff? What happened on this?
I'm not going to lie. The blocking on that was kind of crazy because you see the hole. Most of the time it's like you got to make a hole type of thing. But on that one, there was a hole, and you got to just hit the hole, and that's what I did. So, but that was really what sparked the touchdown there. So,
when you're returning, are you one of these guys that is constantly scanning, or are you one of those guys that just feels things open up?
I kind of scan a little bit, but if I don't see anything, I'm just gonna put my head down and get what I can. You know what I mean? So if it's not there,
Coach just smiled. I don't know if you saw it, but coaches hate. Coaches don't want the guy who's going to stop and look. They want to just go forward, right?
Yeah. And the best kick returner, the best kick returners I've ever had are the guys who are just fearless. It's like they catch the ball and they go forward. And I always tell the guys, if you catch it and go forward, I mean, that's like probably about 90% of your opportunity to be successful is to penetrate and then veer off. But he did that well. He caught it and hit it like he's been coached to do, and he trusted us to do it. And he's done it all year, really, except for one time in Hall's game. I think he had some sweat on his hands, and, you know, he knows I'm going to ride him about that a little bit, you know. But anyways, he's done a good job of doing that all year.
Jackson, you finally get on the field. You're looking around. What is this? How does this team click? Like, where is – it seems like you all have the ability to give it over, go deep, go over the middle. Like, what is this? What is it when you get out there, you're looking over and saying, okay, that's the right call?
Yeah, I think this team experience is big for us, and having a couple of years on our belt is big and it's helpful. And I've been throwing to these guys for the past couple of years. That helps out a lot. Momentum, what that kicks at the momentum. It's always good to have momentum. Football's a momentum game, and it was big to have in a big game. So yeah.
You're all in a position where you're getting you got the drop down. And I know that Heritage and William Blount are not always the best of friends, but when you're not playing each other, was there like any talk over the summer like this is what you're going to expect when you play these guys? Like, because they were just in this region. Was there any conversation with like some of the Mountaineer players that were like, this is what to expect in this region?
I mean, we definitely knew it was going to be tough, but I mean, we just came with a positive attitude, and you know, you just got to know you're going to win. You got to believe it. That's our biggest thing this year is we just got to believe it, because I mean, if you don't believe it, you really have low chances of that. But I think we can still place really well in the region, and I think we can make a playoff run for sure. And all of us believe it.
And what's the team feel like it's got to do? What makes this the good season? Do you all have to get in the playoffs? Do you have to go so far in the playoffs? What does the team feel like?
Our goal has been to get to the playoffs and make a run in the playoffs. You know, have a home game advantage for the playoff rounds or whatever. But I feel like that's a big goal of ours, is definitely getting in the playoffs. So that's what we're really trying to get into.
Coach, I know I'm trying to prevent leading you into any place that would put anything on the bulletin board at the school on the other side of the county from
No
you.
fodder.
But so I'm going to talk about what happens after this coming week. I'm looking at the end of this schedule. You're 4 games in your region play, and you're at 2-2. You got a Knox West team that is struggling. You have a Campbell County team that's even worse than that. You've got a game against Central. It's an opportunity because they showed last night that they're pretty much playing on the same level as Powell. So, I mean, you really got a lot of your playoff hopes sitting right in your own hands to control here.
Yeah, you know, it was fun. Yesterday we talked about 6, you know, everybody, these kids today are saying 6-7. Hey, I don't know what 6-7 means, but I made a new one up. We said 6-11 yesterday. You win 6, you got a chance at 11. We had to win last night. We unfortunately let the Halls game, I think, get away from us. That was huge. But here's what I love about opportunities in life. That got away, but now we got to refocus and get back to what we do, because that's the great thing about football. It teaches a lot of great life lessons, and we let that slip. But we came back last night. We took care of business. West, I'll tell these guys, when you look at that record, don't look at it, because they're going to have the best athletes we've played other than Powell. Then they are not playing as well, but they have a lot of really good athletes, and I know they're well coached. So that's going to have to be a game that we can't look past. And then, Heritage game's huge for us, not only because it's an in-county rival, but also tiebreakers. We talked about that today. It comes down to overall record. We need to take that game and win it, because you never know what will happen in a tiebreaker. And then Central to me on film is one of the best teams I've seen. I've enjoyed actually watching them just as a fan of the game of football. They're very similar to us offensively, very similar. They do a lot of very similar things that we do, a lot of RPOs, and so they're a well-coached team, and so it's fun. I know these guys are looking forward to it. You're getting to play the best, and that's what you want to do, and I'm excited to see how we can finish this thing out.
Guys, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. 2 offensive skill players. But we know, Coach mentioned them, there's a couple guys standing in front of you that have to make all that stuff happen. So who can brag on those guys the best between the 2 of you? Who's got the best compliment for those guys?
I would say I like Alex. I like the whole entire O-line, truthfully. But I'd say they're really dominant up front. They're pushing, they're doing what they can. So, and I think it's really impressive seeing how the growth has been from last year to this year. So.
Yeah, the offseason. It's been a really good offseason for our O-line for sure.
Do you all have to do any, like, is there bribery involved? Like, is there, handing over the cupcake at lunch sort of trades going on here for that blindside protection?
There's some nice guys, man. They'll do it free.
And Coach, you'll probably understand this reference, and I know we're short on time, but there was a play last night, another game, and it made us question cultural references about football players today. So the play that happened in the Alcoa game involved setting up a hook and ladder for an offensive lineman. And the players made a reference to a college game that happened several weeks ago. Their parents were talking about a certain movie that came out in 1999 and calling Billy Bob. Do you all get the reference, Billy Bob, or is that too far back for you guys to reference?
I'm not picking up, man.
No, you're not? Okay.
Bob Thornton?
No, okay, Coach, okay.
I'm not getting it either. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, there was a football movie that involved a Dawson's Creek star that was, depending on your taste, whether you liked it or not.
Yeah.
But
that's fair.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll leave it at that. It just surprised several of us that movie has gone past cultural reference at this point, because at one point that was the reference point. We were just, so you all got the unfair test, because it wasn't even your game, but we just wanted to see if it was true universally or if it was just an isolated incident. But Coach, I'm gonna close out with you on that one. If you had the opportunity to set up an offensive lineman on a hook and ladder, would you put that in the William Blunt playbook?
Oh, gosh, yes. And it'd be Toby Chris.
Ooh.
Toby Chris. He'd be like the fridge Perry. We might do some kind of like pop pass to him where he guys a kick out, or he goes to ISO and he runs and you just throw it up like Godzilla. He just swallows the ball. I'd love to see that. 315 pounds of it.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, it was a sweet play last night. If you got the chance to go on to Huddle and check that one out, or NFHS, it was very pretty.
It was.
You could tell it's been in the playbook for a couple of days and had been running practice, but they executed it very well. But anyway, guys, we wish you all the best of luck coming up with the rivalry game that everybody is going to be watching on Thursday night. I understand, if you all don't know that Donnie used to be the athletic director, had to deal with the bell issues. I know you all would like to have that bell stay on campus for a year. So we wish you all the best of luck with that, and we appreciate you coming in after a morning workout to come visit with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all very much.
And, you know, we have holes that open up in November that maybe that coincides with playoff games where y'all might be able to come
We'd
back.
love to do that.
Because we like to have playoff teams on here. Victoria's
love to do
playoff
it.
teams are good. But anyway, we wish all the best of luck. And Mike, we'll take a quick break and come back for that final one.
Okay, Marcus, time for a break. When we return, we'll be back to close out today's show. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, and I'm here with Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons, and got some top national games that's being played here this afternoon and this evening that's going to have an effect. This weekend's going to have a big effect on the national rankings. There's no doubt about it. Number 1, Ohio State, traveling all the way across the map to play the Washington Huskies. Ohio State is a 8.5-point favorite. Both of these teams are undefeated, but anything can happen. Marcus.
Always.
Yeah, this looks like an old Pac-12 matchup right here in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, it does.
Ohio State and Washington.
Sure
but,
does. Wow.
You know, this is a key game for the Buckeyes, and a really big game for Washington out there today, huh?
It is, and, you know, I like seeing Washington being back involved. I like seeing them kind of recovering from the loss that happened after their coach went to Alabama and kind of rebuilding without him. I don't think they're on Ohio State's level at this point, but I could be wrong. I mean, that's why they play the games. But it's kind of one of those love-hate things. I rather despise Washington in general because I prefer Washington because I prefer Washington State. And there are certain things you just can't do if you're a Cougars fan. But, you know, I'll make some exceptions there because it's Ohio State, and there's nobody better to hate than Ohio State and Alabama.
I think that's one of the games out there at Washington. I think you can take a boat to that game, you know, like you can do over here.
Really?
Yeah, I think you can. I think you can take a boat, you know, up there and get pretty close to the stadium. But
nice.
Nonetheless, one of the top games today. Oregon, number 6 in the country at 4-0, travel to Penn State. Penn State's 3-0, ranked number 3 in the country, and the Nittany Lions are a 3.5-point favorite. Oregon, they've got their work cut out for them the next couple of weeks. Listen,
yeah,
they've got Penn State today. They got to come all the way across and play Penn State. Then they got to go all the way back home, and they got the Hoosiers next week out there in Oregon. So they've got two quality games.
Yeah, not pushovers by any means.
The next 2 weeks, they've got 2 quality games. Oregon.
Absolutely.
The Ducks
they
have.
do.
You know.
Yep.
What do you think?
I love that game. I like Oregon's schedule for the entertainment value. I wouldn't be so in love with it if I was a Ducks fan. But
no, I wouldn't either.
I'm not saying it's Florida bad, but it's full of opportunities in it because
It is.
Oregon is almost is in one of those positions where it can win its way into whatever it wants to. It's got the caliber of games on its schedule, and it's got a caliber of team that if they put the pieces together, they could easily run it in the playoffs.
Yeah, you know Penn State and Franklin, you know what they say about him in big games. He struggled in really big games. Well, this is a really big game.
It is.
A really big game for them.
Well,
at
the
home
thing with
today.
James Franklin, you just want to be ranked ahead of him when you play him.
Yeah,
If he's ahead of you, he does a lot better.
He's overly desperate for a big win, and this is his chance right here with Oregon coming in today.
This is his shot at it right here.
Number 11, Indiana, at 4-0, travels to Iowa. Iowa is 3-1, and the Hoosiers are an 8.5-point favorite on the road. I was amazed last week. I'll tell both of you. I think they had number 9 Illinois at home, and a lot of people were calling that. I think they weren't favored by maybe a touchdown, and they just absolutely destroyed.
Just annihilated.
I'm talking 63-10. That's not only a solid game offensively, that's a solid game defensively against a really good football team. So with them going to Iowa today, I know you're there with that big game next game scenario because Iowa's at home and they've got a good football team, and Iowa's the type of team that can dictate a game. They're more of a running team. They don't score a lot of points. It's one of those games where you just can't let Indiana get their offense on the field because they're explosive. They can score from anywhere on the field. They can air it out, but I just don't think Iowa can score enough points today to beat them. And I would take the 8.5. If I had the money, I would take the 8.5.
I would,
and I would go with Hoosiers.
And, it's kind of like what we mentioned when you're playing Tennessee. You've got an advantage if you can keep the offense off the field just by running your offense and doing what you want to do and eat up clock. You're putting – because when you have these high-octane offenses like Tennessee and Indiana have, they move so fast and get so many plays and get so many drives that they can, in their mindset, they can afford to blow a drive or two from mistakes from playing that fast. But when you start taking drives away from them, those mistakes start magnifying and building up very quickly.
Yeah. Here we are. We're looking at an Indiana team at 4-0, and I can't tell you how many years I've looked at Indiana football, and if they got 5 wins down toward the end of the year and you're saying, if we could just beat Purdue or we could just win the last game, we can go to a bowl game. And here they are. We're talking about them going 5-0 today, maybe going up in the rankings. Let's say if Oregon loses or Penn State loses or, somewhere in that top 10, there could be some adjustments and they could move on up. I mean, it's almost unbelievable. You're talking, hey, Indiana could go to the playoffs. I mean, it's just what a job that Coach Kurt Cignetti has done at Indiana. I mean, he's if you look at him on the sidelines, you can tell that he knows the game. He's disciplined. His players are disciplined. He's a no-nonsense guy. No-nonsense guy, expects to win. He doesn't just expect to win games. He expects to win games big. And he's got the offense to do that in the Big Ten. But coming from James Madison, I just think he's done a remarkable job with this football program. And if he continues, the big thing with Indiana is can they keep him up there?
Right.
You remember when he came in, the big knock was he made a lot of holes for some of his players at James Madison to come to Indiana on that roster.
Right.
But it didn't bother him. He just said that's the way it's going to be. This is what I want. These guys can play at this level. And regardless of how how you want to judge that first year or two went, the truth is they laid a foundation expectation of his system. It was like having a coaching staff twice the size of what he actually had because he had these veteran players who knew his system, and it made a culture change.
Yeah. Where they're at, where Indiana's at this year, at this point, they have no Michigan and they have no Ohio State on their schedule. So that means if they're thinking playoffs, if they get by Iowa today, they're looking at getting Oregon and Penn State. That's the 2 games that they've got, quality games that replace Michigan and Ohio State on their schedule.
Who do they have next week?
They've got Oregon. They got Oregon out
that's
there.
Oregon.
The
That's
thing
right.
about it is both Oregon and Penn State are on the road. They don't play either one of them at home.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a tough test for them, but that's the way I see it boiling down for Indiana.
Well, they need at least
Not
one
to
more
think-
win.
Not to think that the rest of the teams on their schedule, that they have to deal with, they need to overlook. But to me, right now, if they can get Iowa today, that's what this is what it boils down to.
But I don't know. This is where we get to that Big Ten SEC difference. If it was an SEC team and we were saying there's potential they're going to finish 10-2, we'd say they're automatically going to be in playoff consideration. I don't know that Indiana will be, but they probably should be.
Yeah.
But they could lose those 2 games to teams in their conference, but you would still think they might be a top 10 team.
The thing about Indiana, if they continue on the projectile with teams other than Penn State and Oregon, if they can keep those games close, if they can stay in there, if they can come away with one of them, but regardless, if they can keep them close, if they continue to score like they did last year and beat people like they did last year. Remember last year they were undefeated. And everybody said, well, they didn't play anybody.
I
they
remember.
didn't play Ohio State. But they were beating everybody by 4 and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That makes a difference. When you're beating
does.
people that badly, I don't care what league you're in. But they do have a potent offense, and we'll see how it plays out. But I think this is a big game today. I'm a little bit worried about it because they had the big win last week. Everybody's patting them on the back. They're flirting around with that top 10 in the nation spot. Hopefully they'll go into Iowa and take care of business today. But we'll see. I would like to see.
I think they will.
I would really like to see, no offense to James Franklin, I would like to see Oregon beat Penn State today, and I'd like to see an undefeated Indiana-Oregon matchup next week out there.
There you go.
That's what I would like to see, but
We'll
see what
that'd
happens.
be attractive.
I'm not going to pass this game up. As Coach Trail used to say, the battle of the Molochs, Donnie. UCLA is at Northwestern today.
Oh, man.
What was that baseball game that was played in 1881? Troy versus who?
It was
the Cubs.
Troy versus
yeah.
the Cubs. 12 people showed up. I don't know if there'll be 12 people that'll show up for this one today.
There
What do
may
you think?
not.
What do you think, Mark?
It's at Northwestern, so Northwestern draws a crowd at home. I don't know about if it was at UCLA. It'd probably be a dozen people.
And there
I would count the camera crew.
There you go.
True.
Imaleavo out there at UCLA, and they're not even favored today against Northwestern. Northwestern's
but you know what?
They're trying to break out there at
Wow.
UCLA.
When that goes up for streaming or has highlights posted, there'll be 20,000 UT fans watching it just to see what went wrong.
Yeah. Well, with that, I'll say that Marcus just had the last word. Donnie Moore, and it's been a pleasure.
It has. It's a great show, guys.
We had a good time this morning, and we'll see you all next week. There we go. Hey, that'll do it for today's edition of the GoTeez Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael back at Loud Media, our host, the Bluetick Tavern, and all our sponsors. For Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons, until next Saturday, this is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, wishing everyone good sports.
And that's the final whistle. Join us again next Saturday for the GoTeez Sports Page. The best in local sports since 1978.